So Faces by Mac Miller recently came out on streaming, and I've been listening to it non-stop. So I really wanted to make a video about how much I love Mac Miller and why. Because I feel like it, okay? Because I like it. So we're going to talk about how I even got into his music in the first place and my top 5 Mac Miller albums, baby. Yeah. I heard the name Mac Miller thrown around here and there throughout my middle school career. I was on Omega one time, actually, with my friend, and we met these people that claimed they were Mac Miller's cousin. They probably weren't his actual cousins, but I mean, I believed it because they said so. But it really got me thinking, you know, if this Mac Miller guy is such a big deal, maybe I should check him out. Maybe I should give him a spin. So the first song I'd heard from Mac Miller was Another Night. I really liked that song as a kid in my feels in 5th grade, staring at the ceiling. Shortly after that happened, Blue Side Park came out, and I would go through the iTunes previews of all the songs and listen, and I even bought a couple of them, but I was only allowed to buy the clean versions. So I had to sit down with my mom and go, listen, lady, I don't want to listen to his words get cut out. I want to hear him talk his shit. Showed my mom the previews of the song. She was like, whatever. Get it. Do it. You won't. So yeah, then I bought the entire Blue Side Park album and streamed it a lot on iTunes. Then eventually I phased out of listening to rap in general and only listened to rock and metal for like 3 years. But I found my way back to Mac Miller around junior year of high school. So much of his music was played on aux in rotation from a variety of his albums. From watching movies with the sound off, we would listen to I'm Not Real, Bird Call, Suplexes, inside of complexes and duplexes, and Good I Am. Honestly, the whole album I would listen to a lot, but specifically 100 Grandkids, Cut the Check, Brand Name, The Weeknd. I remember listening to these songs more junior year summer going into senior year, freaking blasting them in the car. And The Divine Feminine. There was this one specific weekend my friends and I went to the beach. We listened to God is Fair, Sexy Nasty constantly. Love that song. Sexy Nasty, I know guidelines. That song is burned into my brain from that weekend. It's a fantastic song. The outro, longish, but it's cool. Then I went to film school, got more into like Gus Tapperton, Danger Incorporated, stuff like that. And then found my way back to Mac Miller again freshman year college summer, when Swimming came out. I was so excited for this album to come out, and it came out, and I literally loved every song. This was one of those albums I would just put on and listen to nothing else except for Swimming. Whether I was driving down the street on a 15-minute drive, whether I was on an hour drive, in my room folding my freaking laundry, any occasion, Swimming by Mac Miller for a considerable amount of time. When Circles first came out, honestly, I just like couldn't listen to it. It just made me too sad. So I never really gave it a fair shot because I just literally couldn't. And fast forward to now, and I've been listening to Faces on repeat for weeks. Now let's get into my top 5 Mac Miller albums and why I like them so much. Number 5, The Divine Feminine. I revisited this album the least out of the 5 albums I'm going to talk about in this list. The production is beautiful, and it's definitely a switch from what Mac Miller had done before this project. It's very tender, like a slab of turkey. Congratulations is a beautiful opening track. I love the juxtaposition of those full, grandiose vocal harmonies and the light, airy little piano. And I also really like Mac's lyrics on this track. And Dang with Anderson .Paak is an absolute freaking slapper. So good. Anderson's chorus is so good. And I love the groove on this track too. It's a really nice follow-up from the more mellow sound of Congratulations. And I love that funky staccato guitar, baby. I'm a sucker for that. And the way the song Stay plays with silence in the instrumental and like those pauses in the chorus is really cool. It makes those moments hit really hard and lets the saxophone really breathe. God is Fair, Sexy Nasty is probably my favorite track from this album, probably because I've listened to it the most. I just love the production on this song. I love Mac's part, love Kendrick's part. It's interesting how a lot of the songs on this project are like long. There's 2 songs that are over 8 minutes and a few 5-minuters in there, some sizable tracks, which is cool. You know, not many songs are that long anymore. Some are, but not that many. In general, it's not really, you know, I feel like I've revisited this one the least out of the 5 in this list, just because, I mean, the production is beautiful. I love the features on this album, but I think both of those things kind of outshine Mac, and I just think he has better projects than this one. Number 4, Faces. This is number 4 on this list because I have a confession to make. I actually didn't really listen to Faces that much at all before it came out on streaming, simply because before it was on streaming, you could only listen to it on SoundCloud and YouTube, and I didn't want to have to sit through ads just to listen to something when I could go listen to all the other music that Mac had out on streaming that I also really like. I didn't give it that much of a fair shot until very recently, so that's why it's number 4, simply because I just haven't listened to it as much as these other projects. But now that it's out, I've been bumping it nonstop. I love how raw this whole project is. It's still polished, but the production isn't so huge and in your face that it outshines Mac. I think it just complements him really nicely, and I love the samples on this project. There's so many good ones. He also just has some really interesting lyrics throughout this project. I think it's interesting how he talks about love on the song Weddings, and he reflects on fame and fortune a lot in songs like Polo Jeans and Here We Go and on. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Very moving, comforting in a way, you know? Even if God from heaven above points at our side of the field, even if every man... And there's so many great jazz samples throughout this project, like the Miles Davis sample on Friends. So good. It's the type of album I can just put on and listen to straight through. There's not really any skips in my opinion. There's some songs that I just won't be in the mood to listen to, but they're not like bad. You know what I mean? Or if I'll skip a song, it's more because it'll just make me too sad to listen to it rather than it being a bad song. I really like all the songs on this project, and I'm a huge fan of a ton of the features on this album, so I was really happy to hear a lot of them. I think my favorite songs from this project are Faces V2, It Just Doesn't Matter, and again, this is number 4 on my list because I've listened to the next 3 albums just a lot more. Let's move on. Number 3, watching movies with the sound off. The production on this one's kind of experimental, especially in that opening track, and I really enjoy that about this project. For example, I love how they play with formant shifting and pitch shifting Mac's voice in that opening track and in I'm Not Real. I love a lot of Mac's flows in this album too, like in Bird Call and Suplexes Inside Complexes and Duplexes, baby. And I like Mac singing on this project a lot more than I did in Divine Feminine, like in the songs Euphoria and Remember. This is number 3 on my list because I feel like this project is a little too long. There's definitely some songs that I just don't really listen to, like Aquarium and SDS, but I do like the production on SDS. That's a cool song. But I did put this higher than the other 2 projects because the songs I love on this album, I really love. Like, I would listen to a ton. My favorite songs on this project are Euphoria, Remember, Suplexes Inside of Complexes and Duplexes, and I'm Not Real. Number 2, Good AM. In my opinion, this project just all around feels like a step up from watching movies with the sound off. It just feels more cohesive in terms of the overall sound. Some more beautiful jazz samples in this one. It's a really nice mix of like those moodier songs with the hype ones, and I think how they ordered the songs in the album is just really nice, like how they transition through moods. He's just super down to earth in his music, and I think that really shines in this project. He's consistently very honest. There are a few songs in this album that I just didn't really revisit, like When in Rome and 2 Matches. But I love literally every other track on this album. Some of my favorite Mac Miller songs ever are on this album, like 100 Grandkids, ROS, and Weekend. And this isn't my number 1 pick because I've just listened to my number 1 pick so much more and literally every song on it. You're probably wondering, Devin, what album did you put as number 1? Number 1, Swimming. This is probably his saddest project, I mean, besides Circles, obviously. And like I said earlier, when this project came out, I was obsessed with it off the bat. This feels like a step up from Good AM. It just feels more refined and polished. And this album feels like he's doing his absolute best to find humor in his reality and sort of the light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, this came shortly after he and Ariana Grande broke up. It's hard. You can tell he's having a hard time lifting his own spirits. And he sings the most on this project out of all the projects I talked about. And yeah, the singing's a little rough around the edges. It's not perfect delivery. He's not frickin' Adele in this album. But I think that's kind of the point, or at least least that's how I interpreted it, that it just adds to how down to earth he is and really emphasizes how he genuinely feels when making this project. Like, the singing has a bit of a hopelessness that gives the whole album a more relatable quality. It makes me really enjoy it even more, honestly. And I think his vocal melodies throughout are just really catchy too. Like the chorus on Perfecto, Hurt Feelings, Jet Fuel, that's so good. And the production on this album flows really nicely. All the songs make sense together. This album just, really resonated with me. I feel like I revisit this one the most too, out of all of his projects. I mean, besides Faces recently, but Faces is kind of new to me compared to Swimming. Probably one of my top 10 albums of all time. It is one of my top 10 albums of all time. I literally made a video about it. Check out top 10 albums of all time. Mac Miller will always hold a very special place in my heart because he's one of those artists that I found when I was really young and sort of grew up listening to as he sort of developed his sound. So it was like we were growing up together, only he was already an adult. So he'll never be forgotten.